There are some parts of Magic the Gathering that are so dark and horrifying that they shouldn't be talked about. So let's talk about that. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. I am here to horrify and mystify you. We're going to take a time portal all the way back to the original days of Magic, when it was just a game and wasn't considered a financial instrument. And the way people handled the game was way different. So I want you to come with me on this trip. For you to understand where we're going, I need you to see like a pile of just kind of beat up cards that are all unsleeved, and take a look. Can you see? There you go. You see how this card, this wouldn't even be considered that beat up back in the days that I'm talking about. The days where Iron Men roamed the earth. That's what we're talking about today. One of the rarest formats, the most horrifying formats, and rarest because nobody will play them now. In all honesty, I went around and explained to some people what Iron Man Magic was, and the looks of revulsion on their face, why would anybody do this, are absolutely amazing for somebody like me who played before the days of sleeves. We'd have our beat up cards and we didn't care. Every little scratch, every little nick, it's a badge of honor when it comes to these old school cards. It's just time-tested old Magic that's worn away. This is a rack. Some people might actually not even like seeing a rack treated like this, but listen to that. Listen to that delicious snap. So what are we doing here? We're here to talk about the Iron Man format. Before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to James P. He has sponsored this video. Oop, goodbye! He sponsored this video by providing me some financial incentive to move my lips, otherwise known as the monies, and he provided me a bunch of cards to use in the demonstration of said format. Now, just to let you know, James, I pulled out some more modern examples of cards to give people an idea of what we're doing here. But what I'm going to do is, James is going to comment on this video, and I will pin his comment to the top, because he wants to get people involved in Iron Man Magic. But if you want to get involved, you need to know what it is, right? So, let's talk about it. Iron Man Magic is a format that is long dead in the halls of Wizards of the Coast. The last time they spoke about it was in 2003. The most noticeable thing about Iron Man is the effect that it has on Magic cards. So let me show you a beautiful example on the screen right now beside my gorgeous face. Do you know what you're looking at right now? Do you see that ripped up Mox? For those of you who don't know, the current market value of this beta Mox that you see destroyed here is $8,000. And these are the types of cards, along with all the way down to common grizzly bears and things like that, that were destroyed as a result of Iron Man Magic. And before you ask, would I play it? Yes, I would. And yes, I have. I have been involved in degenerate Iron Man events. I've played in all kinds of crazy tournaments. So the biggest hallmark of an Iron Man tournament is that right there. Cards being destroyed just, oh, do you hear that noise? That noise, let's get it up close. Oh, do you hear that? That noise makes lesser men shudder in fear. They just can't handle it. This is what these cards are going in the card graveyard, just destroying cards. This is what Iron Man's all about, just letting you know. Now, how do the cards get destroyed? Every which way from Sunday, baby. Here's how it works. Imagine a normal game of Magic the Gathering, except nothing survives leaving play. Doesn't matter if it goes to the graveyard, whatever's going down. So we'll start out with a simple example. Let's say that you have a Goblin Electromancer and your opponent is a Vidalcan Mesmerist and they end up fighting each other in combat. Oh, get wrecked, take that, take that. And they're both on their way to the graveyard together. Off we go to the graveyard together. Oh, not so fast, buddy. Not so fast. You don't get to exist anymore. Oh, what happens here? Oh, well now, the card's just gone. What happens when it comes to cards like, oh, something with Jumpstart? Well, you cast this instant and it would go to your graveyard. And what happens when cards go to your graveyard? All this. Oh my God, I guess Jumpstart's not so good an ability. You should have jumped out of my hand before I started ripping you, son. You know, let's just toss in some extra rippage right there. And it makes your choices in a game far more interesting. You take a look at this, like right here, we have the Undercity Necrolisc. Now you pay 1 mana and sacrifice a creature to put a +1/+1 counter on. This means every time you want to put a +1/+1 counter on this, you're going to be going like this, going bam. Oh, so long. Oh, there's another one. So long. So many cards being destroyed. So I don't need him anymore. He's a good example. There's lots of interesting things that change when it comes to Iron Man. For example, Notion Rain becomes a far less attractive card. What it normally does is you surveil 2 and then draw 2 cards and you take 2 damage. Well, this is going to get ripped up and go to the graveyard. But anything you put in your graveyard from surveil as well, guess what? This card gets torn up. And if you didn't like the cards on top of your deck, oh, so long to them as well. Boom. There we go. Got an old, hey look, it's a skinned foil. There was a foil. You used to be able to peel the foil layers off of the top of these cards. You can tell it's got a little more pull. Speaking of foil rares, you know what? I feel like an Iron Man video deserves the destruction of a nice foil angel. Let's toss that in there. So even simple spells like Sure Strike, where you're like, boom, I'm gonna play this on my creature, give him +1 power and first strike to have him survive the combat. But oh, the spell itself is gone. And I mean, it adds extra layers. When it comes to this one, it's just like, sacrifice me. It is the highest level of sacrifice. So as you can see, this is something that would make people kind of hesitate and go, I don't know. I don't know if I want to play this. But there's some fun stuff. Conclave Tribunal all of a sudden becomes far more powerful in this format, because this is the forecast enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, you exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until the tribunal leaves the battlefield. Well, here's the thing. I play this, and you got your nice castle there, your nice beat-up castle, and I go, you know what, I'm going to exile that castle. This sits on the board going, ha ha ha, I'm fine for the next game. But this, because it was exiled, boom, doesn't matter that it didn't hit the graveyard. It got exiled. Things exiled for any reason get destroyed. If you have cards with imprint, boom, doesn't matter. Rip up the card that you imprinted onto the other card. Just make sure you leave big enough pieces so that you can actually read it. Now, there is an article. There's only one article about Iron Man on Wizard of the Coast website. And it's interesting to note, actually, that technically, Iron Man isn't a format anymore. They changed the name of it. Every once in a while, something will come along. They did this with Commander as well. If you've ever wondered why Commander is called Commander instead of Elder Dragon Highlander, or EDH as it was originally known, is Wizards couldn't use that name technically. They couldn't trademark it. They couldn't keep it as their own. There was an overlapping claim where they were like, we can't own this. So in 2003, they actually renamed Iron Man to Iron Myr. And Iron Myr is that kind of crappy red mana-producing mirror from, I don't know why I'm doing this. Could be on either side, whatever. Card will be on the screen. The Iron Myr taps to produce a red man. It's just 2 mana for a 1/1. It's not exciting at all. But they were like, oh, instead of Iron Man, we'll call it Iron Myr. Now, what's funny to note, my friends, and I had a good chuckle at this, is think about Wizards of the Coast right now and the kind of like the agenda that they like to push. There is a hilarious little comment in here that you would never see nowadays, a joke made, where specifically in their own article, they say Iron Man renamed Iron non-gender specific person, then renamed Iron Myr, is a nerve-testing, gut-wrenching format. Now, to me, it is pretty funny to see them poke fun at concepts that they now hold forth. Like this was inserted as a joke. And nowadays, we get characters like Holler, where they actually create flavor blurbs on the side talking about those kind of things in specific terms. It's just funny to note how much a company can change over 15, 16 years. Take it for what you will. I'm just bringing it up as a joke, but I feel like we've gone too long without destroying cards. We gotta keep the flow. I want this to be the most Iron Mansiest Iron Man video ever made. And to that effect, I'm going to bring in a bonus that you wouldn't normally expect in this type of video, or maybe you would if you're accustomed to my videos and knowing that I go the extra mile. Look at that, I'm destroying cards that I even have when I'm on the screen. This has got to be just triggering some people. Anyhow, did you know that there is actually a Magic card called Iron Man? I bet that you didn't. The majority of people, I imagine, are completely unaware that there actually is an Iron Man card. And the reason people are unaware of this card is because it was actually created for a set we never got. Magic Unglued 2, back in the days of the true fun of Magic. So, let's take a look at the Iron Man card right now. It's a 5 casting cost artifact. It is 6/4. It has Trample, And look at the ability of it. On top of Trample, it says, when Iron Man dies, tear it into pieces and exile the pieces. How cool is that? The artwork shows just a big conglomeration golem. It's just kind of like patchworked together. I mean, in all honesty, the artwork just feels kind of like whatever. But the fact that there's an Iron Man card that specifically nods directly to the format itself, where card after card, man, look at this. I am filling up a card graveyard. So I wanted to shed some light on this. Now, I will say, if you're thinking to yourself, I would never do Iron Man. Well, never do it like it's a drug. I don't do the Iron Man, mama. I swear I'm clean. So if you think to yourself, oh, I would never do this, just think about all the piles of commons you probably have laying around. If you're like me, you have a lot of commons and uncommons that were really only ever meant to be played in draft and are overall just garbage cards. Well, now's your opportunity to grab your friends and challenge them to some Iron Man magic. You will see that it is an interesting format, and because you destroy any card that hits the graveyard, it actually changes the power level of different cards, which makes it more interesting. And I'm not done. I'm gonna keep tearing cards. I'll probably be tearing cards long after the video is done. But either way, it's just straightforward. Literally, Iron Man is just destroy anything that would go to the graveyard to get exiled. That's the simplest way to summarize it. So my friends, I say what you should do is give this format a try. Now, as I mentioned, James P., the guy who came up with the idea for the video and hooked me up these cards that I am destroying right now, he wants to see if he can make this into a thing. And he has a bunch of old cards kicking around, so he wants to give it a go. And that's how he explained it to me. Just some kind of casual fun. I'm not sure 100% of the details. So like I said, I will but when he comments on the video, I will pin his comment. And that way, if he has information that he wants you to have about it, you will be able to see it. But either way, it makes me happy to have this sort of fan-sponsored content, because I don't do like corporate sponsorships. I don't have anything like that. So it's nice when a fan reaches out and is like, hey, I want to support your channel, and it'd be cool if you talked about this. And in all honesty, Iron Myr Magic is something I would talk about anyway. So I'm not being hooked up to talk about some subject that is of no interest to me. I'm being hooked up to talk about a part of Magic's history. And that's what I do here anyway. So it's a perfect dovetail. Now, let us roll the golden scroll so we can give proper tribute to all the awesome people who support my channel on Patreon or through channel memberships. I genuinely appreciate you guys and what you do. And for me, I don't care if Wizards of the Coast calls the format Iron Myr. For me, it'll always be Iron Man. And you need to get you some, all right? So, that's all I need to say on the subject. Thanks for being here, and I'm history, baby.